and welcome to Dystopia. I am Infinite Fantasy live here at South Carolina, and here we have the women's champion Brenda Bison making her way to the ring after a successful mixed gender tag team title defense on Brawl on Wednesday night. So, that was the might of the old gods that everyone here in GTW is so afraid of. I must say, I am not impressed. The family had put up a bigger fight defending their mixed gender tag team titles. I guess what my rival Amanda Price has to said is true. They are indeed the false gods. Heretic! You dare speak ill of the old gods? The Warriors, led by the mighty Grand Tour champion himself, Hercules, is that the old god you are speaking of, Amber Charlotte? Yes, I am speaking of the mighty Hercules. The old gods follow him because we are mighty. You, Brenda Bison, are nothing more than a heretic. Heretic. Tell me, Miss Charlotte, why should I bow to these self-proclaimed gods when me and Andre Armstrong have literally dominated them on Brawl? Humming from a booking agent who only has the women's championship right now because her challenger hit her head and forgot what constitutes as being in the ring. That was very unfortunate for Miss Price, and as I have already addressed on Brawl, I am not satisfied with retaining my title in such a way. When Miss Price returns to in-ring action, and she will, I will make a point to defend my women's championship against her one more time to finalize who is undisputed between us. However, I cannot say the same for you, Miss Charlotte. You and Miss Troy have something very in common. Yes, and what is that? You were both knocked out by Amanda Price. Oh, is that so? Oh, and there's Amber Charlotte throwing the first punch on Brenda Bison, not liking her remarks there. And here's Brenda Bison coming with the clothesline, taking the fight to Amber Charlotte, who threw the first punch. And a huge right by Brenda Bison there. Here comes an Irish whip to the ropes. And a huge elbow. Brenda Bison completely annihilating Charlotte Amber here. And so far, throwing her in three corners and a huge net breaker by Brenda Bison. And there's Brenda Bison, the women's champion, showing off to the crowd. And there's Amber Charlotte with the receipt on Brenda Bison there, taking advantage of her showboating, and a super kick to the face. Amber Charlotte now being completely relentless against the women's champion and one half of the mixed gender tag team champions. As there she is, just completely beating on her. Amber Charlotte just stomping away, completely decimating the women's champion there. What a display, a fight breaking out between these two women. Ladies and gentlemen, I am now getting word from the back from director Charles Elliott himself that he is now booking tonight's main event. There will be a mixed gender tag team matchup between Brenda Bison and the chosen one, Stephen Dynamite, as they take on two members of the Old Gods, Amber Charlotte and Hercules. That is going to be Brenda Bison and Stephen Dynamite versus Amber Charlotte and Hercules tonight in a mixed gender tag team match for tonight's main event. But first, coming up, we got a qualifying match between Joe Henry and Karrion Kross. This will be for the Survivor Games, coming up next on Dystopia. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back and we're ready for tonight's opening match. We have a qualifying match for the men's survival games, Joe Henry versus Karrion Kross. Now, for anyone who's wondering, the survival games is a match type for a special pay-per-view event coming at the end of November called Survivor Games. It will be an 8-person Falls Count Anywhere elimination match. It'll start off with 2 opponents, and every 2 minutes a new opponent will enter the ring. You have to eliminate your opponent either by pinfall or submission by any means necessary. It'll be Falls Count Anywhere and no disqualification, with a total of 8 men. The winner of that match will become the #1 contender for the GTW World Heavyweight Championship. But right here, we got the qualifying match to see which one of these 2 men will enter the Survival Games at the end of November. Will it be Joe Henry or Karrion Kross? Find out next, here on Dystopia. Ladies and gentlemen, we also have a special guest here in the Twitch chat room. I got Mortalisk the Hero, and yesterday was his birthday, so I have to give a special birthday shout out to Mortalisk. I hope you have a great one. Happy 25.
From Edinburgh, Scotland.
For tonight's match, we have booked Joe Henry, his favorite wrestler. I hope you enjoy. And here comes Joe Henry. Say his name and he shall appear. Tonight, I believe in Joe Henry as he takes on Karrion Kross. Will he qualify for the Survival Games here tonight? Only time will tell in this singles matchup. All I can say is, when it comes to the subject of whether he will or will not qualify for the Survival Games, I believe in Joe Henry. And here comes his opponent, Karrion Kross. This man, just recently on Fright Night, had taken on Dio Sebastian for the World Heavyweight Champion at a Falls Count Anywhere match, however, came up short. Being accompanied by Scarlett, he'll have another chance to become a #1 contender for that very same title if he can qualify for the Survival Games here tonight. There's not much to say about this man, except he is completely ruthless, 100% chaos and evil. This man from Sin City is looking to inflict pain on Joe Henry here tonight. And as a reminder, the Survival Games is a match type that comes once a year here at the end of November for the Survivor Games pay-per-view event. 8 men in an elimination style Falls Count Anywhere, no disqualification matchup the winner will become the #1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship, and Karrion Kross has his eyes set on the prize. Which one of these two men will make it to the Survival Games? Will it be Karrion Kross or Joe Hendry? We'll find out now. We got the crowd chanting to Karrion Kross, welcome home. We're in his hometown here tonight, here at South Carolina, live at the North Charleston Coliseum. We're only right here at Sin City. However, Joe Hendry getting the advantage in this matchup, despite being on Karrion Kross's home turf here tonight. Joe Hendry stopping on the back of Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross always ready to dish out the punishment, and it seems Joe Hendry meeting him as level here tonight. Remember, this is a man who just faced Dio Sebastian at Friday night in a Falls Count Anywhere match and nearly won the World Heavyweight Championship from Dio. However, just like the rest, he was no match for the demon Dio Sebastian. Karrion Kross hoping to win tonight's match to qualify for the Survival Games, giving him an opportunity to get back into the #1 contender spot, getting his rematch with Dio Sebastian. And you can see how determined he is as he starts laying the beat down on Joe Hendry here. And suddenly, those welcome back chants are turning into boos as this man from Sin City just starts decimating the fan favorite Joe Hendry here. The referee now being distracted as Scarlett had taken off the turnbuckle. However, Joe Hendry able to take out Karrion Kross before any illegal moves could be made. Here he comes, off the ropes with a kick to Karrion Kross, followed by a double axe handle while he's down. Karrion Kross rolling out of the ring, and there's Scarlett at ringside distracting Joe Hendry now. If Joe Hendry doesn't get his eye back on the ball, this could be a mistake that may cost him dearly, and there's Karrion Kross taking advantage of the distraction thanks to his wife, Scarlett. And it's Karrion Kross using that brute force, throwing Joe Hendry all the way across the ring. There he is, working on a hand, breaking the bones in the fingers. And he goes to drag him in the middle of the ring. Hopefully, set him up for a big move. Joe Hendry rolls out of the way, but no, Karrion Kross again able to intercept any counter Joe Hendry might have had in mind. Here comes the pin. 1, 2, but Joe Hendry gets the shoulder rub just in the nick of time. Yes, Karrion Kross throwing that knee down on Joe Hendry. Working on the joints, trying to weaken him, making it so he cannot walk. If he can't walk, he can't wrestle. He can't wrestle, he can't kick out. And he's just torturing him, twisting that ankle. Karrion Kross is a master of inflicting pain on his opponents. And here comes the pin. 1, 2, and again, Joe Hendry kicks out. Karrion Kross with a devastating fisherman suplex, throwing all that dead weight, all that force right into that ring canvas. and he follows up with a German suplex. And the two men now fighting outside the ring. Karrion Kross with a huge double axe handle on Joe Hendry. And he just picks up all that dead weight right off the ground with a huge power bomb, full force on the outside mat. And underneath that mat, I might mind you, is all concrete. Nowhere near as safe as the middle of the ring. And Joe Hendry with an amazing spinning heel kick as he gets himself to the top turnbuckle. Karrion Kross better get back in the ring. And Joe Hendry flying out the ring, breaking the ring count. With an amazing display of high-risk maneuverability by Joe Hendry. And now he throws Karrion Kross back in the ring. And Karrion Kross with a huge chop on Joe Hendry. And now place him in armbar. Followed up by a clothesline using the armbar as leverage to nearly knock his head off there. Karrion Kross going for an over-the-head suplex there. Joe Hendry kicking him off, getting the counter on Karrion Kross. And here he is. He's got Karrion against the corner. Joe Hendry now with the advantage. He goes off the ropes. And a boot right across the face of Karrion Kross by Joe Hendry, followed by a double axe handle off the second rope. Here comes the pin. Will this be enough to take up the win? No. Karrion Kross manages to kick out. Joe Hendry coming up with the moonsault, but nobody home. And there he goes, slamming Joe Hendry's head into that top turnbuckle. That brutal style Karrion Kross is known for, as he relentlessly slams Joe Hendry again and again into that turnbuckle, now choking him in the corner here. The referee giving him a warning to let go as he squeezes the life right out of Joe Hendry. And there he is, sizing up, waiting for him. Here comes the cover for the win. 1, 2, 3, and Karrion Kross advances to the Survival Games.
Here is your winner, Karrion Kross.
An impressive and brutal win by Karrion Kross, being congratulated by his wife Scarlett. He will be moving on to the Survival Games to get a chance to become the #1 contender for the World Heavyweight Champion. Still to come, we got the women's tag team titles on the line as the Syndicate takes on Havoc. But first, a quick break. I cannot express how displeased I am with you and Troy. After all the work I have done, all the planning, after every string I had to pull to give you both an opportunity at the intergender tag team titles, you not only would not solidify a win, but you were humiliated. My lord, the Red Faction were not mere opponents. I could not anticipate the level of commitment they would have in the ring. Enough! Not only did you squander my gift to you to win the tag team titles, but you failed to bring home the World Heavyweight Championship against Dio Sebastian at Rising Sun. You are a disgrace to your gods, and you dishonor the mighty Hercules. The next time I find an opportunity for you to strengthen our creed, you better not fail, or else. We're back, and it looks like there was a heated exchange between Archangel and his lord Hercules. Hercules not too happy about Archangel and Rebecca Choi's failure to win the intergender tag team titles back on Brawl earlier this week. Coming up next, we got the Women's Tag Team Championship on the line as the team of Madison Payne and Adrian Nevermore of Havoc take on the Women's Tag Team Champions Kumiko EMP Tanaka and Kana Nanako of the Syndicate. That's coming up next. But first, got a comment from Mortal saying, "Gotta get dinner. Thank you for the shout out." No problem, Mortal. I hope you have a fun night. Have a wonderful birthday. Anyway, we're back to our tag team match. We got the Syndicate defending the tag team titles against Havoc right here, right now on GTW Dystopia. Here goes one half of Havoc, Madison Payne, making her way to the ring. This will be their second shot at the tag team titles. The first time at Havoc, at Fright Night, where Havoc won by a ring out, thinking that they could win. It's a bit embarrassing to say, but they thought they could actually win the tag team titles through a ring out. It was explained by Charles Elliott on Brawl that the titles do not change hands through a disqualification or a ring out, and there must be a pin or submission for the tag team titles to actually change hands. And apparently, even though they should know this, Havoc did not know this, and embarrassingly won the match, but did not win the tag team championship. Charles Elliott, being the amazing director he is deciding to give these two fine yet very terrifying women a second chance under the condition that they don't eat his heart. And here comes her partner, Adrian Nevermore, making her way to the ring. This was the one who had the bright idea of trying to win by a ring out to begin with. Hopefully these two don't make the same mistake here tonight. It's not often we get second chances, so these two better make it count here tonight. And here comes the tag team champions, making their way to the ring. The team of Kumiko, EMP Tanaka, and Kana Nanako. Together, they form the women's tag team champions, the Syndicate. These two have been tag team champions for over 6 months now. Have defended their championships at least once or twice a month and have successfully defended every single time. The only time they have technically lost was at Fright Night, but that was by a count out. They're looking to successfully defend once again, undisputedly, against Havoc. These two, originating in the Japanese circuit, have made a huge name for themselves here in GTW, and what a fine team they make.
The following is a tag team match set for one fall and is for the Women's Tag Team Championship. Introducing the challengers, Madison Payne and Adrian Havoc.
And there's Madison Payne and Adrian Nevermore of Havoc, the challengers for tonight's match.
Women's Tag Team Champions and Impress, the Syndicate.
And that's what it's all about, the women's tag team titles. On the line right here in Dystopia. What an amazing tag team match this ought to be. Looks like we're going to have Madison Payne and Kana Nanako as the two legal women starting off tonight's tag team title match. You see Nanako attempting to Irish whip Madison Payne, who just seemed to be too strong for her. And now Kana Nanako relying on those kicks, however not enough to withstand this overwhelming offense by Madison Payne. Nanako seems to be in a lot of trouble right here as she desperately goes for a springboard off the second rope, and an amazing reverse DDT by Kana Nanako here. Madison Payne kicks out at 2. We're very early in this match, and I think the fact that Kana Nanako is going for an early pin just shows a bit of an intimidation factor on Havoc's behalf. Kana Nanako now tagging in her partner, Kumiko EMP Tanaka, who is now the legal woman in this tag team match. There's Tanaka working on the knee of Madison Payne as she springboards off the second rope into a moonsault, and it lands. You can see Madison Payne taking damage as she rolls out of the ring, just trying to get a little distance between her and the one half of the tag team champions. Tanaka not giving her a moment though, chasing her from across the outside ring. Continues the Devastator, continues to lay on that punishment. You'll notice there's no countout. Charles Elliott thought it'd be necessary to forego a countout in tonight's match as a failsafe due to what he calls the misguided, incompetent mistakes of a new tag team. I guess that's his nice way of trying to put what happened on Fright Night. Tonight's match must be decided over a submission or pinfall, if not a disqualification. And here comes Adrian Nevermore, now in the ring with Kumiko Tanaka, slamming her extremely hard into the ring as she continues that punishment. Adrian Nevermore springs off the top rope with a shooting star press. G-Cross has a very funny Bob Ross emoji there. I think I get what you're saying with that one. There are no mistakes, only happy accidents. And that's true, because as a happy accident, we now have a no countout tag team match here tonight. Tanaka now tagging in Nanako. Madison Payne trying to capitalize before the tag and accidentally hits the referee. Another rookie mistake by one half of Havoc here. And here comes Kana Nanako with a cartwheel into a pin. However, Adrian Nevermore manages to break up the count. Kana Nanako not letting that discourage her as she goes to size up her opponent here. And she's got Madison Payne on the shoulders with a huge backdrop, bridging into a pin. 1, 2, but no, Madison Payne kicks out the very last second, amazingly. The crowd here in the North Charleston Coliseum going absolutely crazy for this tag team match, chanting tag team wrestling as these women go all out. Massive Pain going for the cover. One, but no, Kumiko Tanaka manages to kick out before even a 1 count. Still too fresh in this tag team match. Massive Pain now goes in for a DDT, making her regret ever kicking out of that. And there's a nice variation of a spine buster there. And she probably would have gotten the 3 right there if not for Kana Nanako breaking up the count. Massive Pain now picking her up as she goes off the ropes. And there's a big boot to the face. And Massive Pain now sizing her up from outside the ring. She comes off, but nobody home. Kumiko Tanaka manages to dodge the attack at the very last second using her expertise at in-ring awareness. And now she Irish whips Massive Pain into the corner of her partner, Kana Nanako. However, Massive Pain manages to throw the elbow before a tag could be made. Being weakened, she now makes her way and tags in her partner, Adrian Nevermore. Nevermore makes her way to Tanaka. Just stomping on her and throws both knees right into the sternum, immediately going for the cover. 1, 2, but Tanaka gets the shoulder up. Adrian now getting her cheap shot in on Kana Nanako. Adrian Nevermore making her way to Massive Pain, tagging her tag team partner. Kumiko Tanaka looking a little unsure, taking off that turnbuckle padding as a little insurance. The referee going to put it back on immediately though. Here comes Massive Pain making her way to the top rope. And here she comes with a flying moonsault off the top rope. 1, 2, 3, and we have new tag team champions.
Here are your winners, and the new
Massive Pain and Adrian Nevermore breaking the streak.
Massive Pain and Havoc.
Adrian Nevermore, Massive Pain, the 2 women forming Havoc are now the new tag team champions in this amazing win. Charles Elliott kind enough to give them a second chance, and they took full advantage of it here tonight in this historical dystopia. Just seeing that has got my blood pumping. I can't wait to see what we have coming up later tonight. Don't forget we got our main event as Steven Dynamite will be teaming up with Brenda Bison to take on Hercules. And Amber Charlotte here tonight in a mixed gender tag team match. But that's not all. We also got a triple threat match between Hook, Berry Jenkins, and Kyle Fletcher. The winner will be taking on Rob Van Dam next week for the United States Championship. However, coming up next, we got our second qualifying match for the Survival Games here tonight. This time for the women's division as Rachel Rodriguez takes on Mina Shikinawa. But first, a quick break. Come on, Mr. Elliott. Fair is fair. You asked us to protect your son. We held up our end. I'm only asking that me and Billy get our shot at the Dudleys for the tag team titles. It's not as if they have a #1 contender lined up anyways. Actually, they do. I already decided that the Hardy Boys deserve a real rematch for the tag team titles without a third wheel. Second off, I paid you and Mr. Cactus a large sum of money to protect my boy, and so far, Mickey James has been doing all the work. Come on, don't be like that, Charles. That's Mr. Elliot to you. Sorry, Mr. Elliot. We were the ones who inducted Miss James into the outlaw gang. Come on, give us a little credit. Well, despite she has not done a very good job, I will acknowledge some of her hard work since you two got all the money. On Brawl, I will give her a shot at the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Oh, that's great! But what about our tag team title match? Good night, Mr. Hicks. And gentlemen, we are back, and coming up next, we got a qualifying match for the Women's Survival Games between Rachel Rodriguez and Mina Shikinawa. And just like the men's survival games, the rules are simple. Coming at the end of November at our pay-per-view event, Survivor Games, live at Allentown, Pennsylvania. It will be an 8-woman Falls Count Anywhere hardcore style elimination match. It will start off with 2 opponents. Every 2 minutes, a new opponent will enter the ring until all 8 competitors are fighting in a free-for-all, no disqualification bloodbath. You win by eliminating everyone until you are the last woman standing. Eliminations can only be done by pinfall or submission. And the question is, which one of these 2 women will have the chance to compete in the survival games? Will it be Rachel Rodriguez or Mina Shikinawa? Find out right here on Dystopia.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall. Making her way to the ring from Los Angeles, California, Rachel Rodriguez.
Rachel Rodriguez, a newcomer here in Grand Tour Wrestling, making her Dystopia and broadcast debut here tonight. And what an opportunity she has if she can qualify for the survival games here tonight. She'll have an opportunity to compete in a match that would push her to be the #1 contender for the Women's Championship if she wins. However, first she must get through tonight's singles matchup against Mina Shikinawa right here tonight in this sold-out crowd at South Carolina.
And her opponent from Tokyo, Japan.
And here comes Mina Shikinawa, originating from New Japan Pro Wrestling, is now making her televised debut here on GTW along with Rachel Rodriguez, both women with a fantastic opportunity. Once again, the winner tonight will qualify and move on to the Survival Games at our pay-per-view event at the end of November, Survivor Games, live at Allentown, Pennsylvania. The winner of the Survival Games will become the #1 contender for the Women's Champion. And tonight we're going to find out which one of these newcomers has what it takes to climb to the top here tonight. Mina Shikinawa already having a large fan base from Wrestling Japan. It's not her first time in a GTW ring, as she has joined us during our Japan tour. And here comes the bell. Mina Shikinawa, not wasting time, grappling up with Rachel Rodriguez. You can see the size difference between the two. Rachel Rodriguez definitely has the height advantage over Shikanawa. However, Shikanawa may able to trump her in wrestling experience. Shikanawa laying in those boots onto Rachel Rodriguez as she stomps the face. The crowd going absolutely crazy here in South Carolina. We're live here at the North Charleston Coliseum. And Rachel Rodriguez now smashing in the head of Mina Shikanawa. You see how hungry Rodriguez is, desperately wanting to get into the survival games. All she has to do is win tonight, and she'll have an opportunity to compete against 8 other women to become the #1 contender for the women's title. A championship not many on the roster get a chance to compete for. A title held by the likes of Amanda Price, held by Rebecca Troy, held one time competed by Kima Saki. Currently, the women's champion being Brenda Bison. And Rodriguez with amazing display of technical wrestling here on Mina Shikanawa. And here comes the pin. 1, 2, but no, Shikanawa kicks out. And here's Rodriguez going for that drop kick on Shikanawa. He now goes for that armbar. And a drop kick from behind by Rodriguez. Shikanawa struggling to climb back onto his ropes, but here she is fighting back. Rodriguez with the receive with a chop to the chest. Going for multiple chops, just completely laying in those strikes. And there's a slap across the face. She's firing up Mina Shikanawa here as the 2 women start going back and forth in the middle of the ring. Shikanawa trying to come back with everything she has, but Rodriguez fighting back here. The chops come from Rodriguez, slightly louder than the ones from Shikanawa. Well, Shikanawa pushes through. And she gets the final hit, knocking Rodriguez down. Shikanawa now climbing to the top turnbuckle. And there's a frog splash by Mina Shikanawa. Here comes an Irish whip to the ropes. Rodriguez reverses, and she spins into an elbow into the face, immediately climbing to the top rope. She measures up her opponent. And Richard Rodriguez coming off with a flying kick to the face. Here comes the pin. 1, 2. However, Mina Shikanawa manages to kick out. There's Rodriguez coming with a clothesline. 2 clotheslines. Followed by a drop kick. She goes to pick up her opponent. Kick to the sternum. And a standing suplex. Oh no, Mina Shikanawa counters with a hit to the back of the knee, throwing Rodriguez off balance, followed by an Irish whip and a spinning heel kick right into the temple. Shikanawa goes for the cover. 1, 2. However, Rodriguez kicks out. There goes Shikanawa, measuring up her opponent. And here comes the pin. 1, 2. Rodriguez kicks out. And the crowd going absolutely crazy between these 2 women. You can hear here at this Coliseum the crowd screaming, "This is wrestling." And Shikanawa taking out Rodriguez with a drop kick. The two women outside the ring now, fighting by the barricade. Shikanawa throwing Rodriguez back into the ring. Shikanawa with a cross-body splash. As she gains the advantage for Rodriguez with a kick to the face to get that counter in. But Shikanawa won't have it as she moves in for an offensive move. The crowd going absolutely nuts for this wrestler from Japan as she springs off the ropes with that athletic, acrobatic ability. 1, 2, but Rodriguez kicks out. Here's Shikanawa now working on that knee, trying to make sure the next time she gets that pin, it won't be a kick out. Rodriguez trying to fight back as she kicks her off. She goes for the cover. 1, 2, and Shikanawa kicks out. And here's Rodriguez placing Shikanawa in that submission hold. Shikanawa reversing with the Hurricanrana. And Shikanawa looking at that corner. You can see she's having some bad ideas in her head. And she points up to the arena here. The crowd going absolutely wild as she uses a double axe to take her down. Another tackle for good measure. She comes off the ropes. And a cross-body splash by Mina Shikanawa. Rodriguez trapped in the corner as she's being brought to the top turnbuckle. She kicks off Shikanawa, trying to fight off any attempts at a high-risk maneuver. And there's a neckbreaker by Rachel Rodriguez. Will this be enough? 1, 2... But no, again, Mina Shikanawa manages to show up. What an amazing qualifying match this is turning out to be. Remember, the winner will advance to our pay-per-view Survivor Games for the Survival Games match. The winner of that will advance to become the #1 contender for the Women's Championship. Rodriguez now applying a submission hold on Mina Shikanawa. And she taps out. Shikanawa taps out. Rachel Rodriguez advances.
Here's your winner, Rachel Rodriguez.
An amazing win by Rachel Rodriguez. What an amazing debut here in GTW. Rachel Rodriguez will now be competing in the Survival Games at the end of November for a chance to become #1 contender for the Women's Championship. An amazing debut win for this talented woman. Coming up next, we still have the triple threat match between Hook, Kyle Fletcher, and Berry Jenkins. The winner will face Rob Van Dam next week for the United States Championship. But first, a quick break. We're back, folks, and we have Chosen making his way to the ring here at Dystopia with a microphone in hand, probably here to address what happened earlier this week on Brawl. Benjamin Bourne, I do not understand you. You act as if you hate me, that you want nothing to do with me, and yet, when I was attacked on Brawl, it was you who came out to my aid and asked that you come out to explain yourself right now. Here comes Benjamin Bourne, here to talk to Chosen. Now, don't get things twisted, Chosen. Catalysm is at the top of my list right now. As far as I'm concerned, we settled our beef. Ironically, without the belt on the line. Don't forget that. I'm still Intercontinental Champion. Yeah. Thanks for reminding me, Chosen. Anyway, I digress. I consider our beef Intercontinental Championship on the line or not settled after I finally pinned you 1, 2, 3 on Brawl. You are not my better, you are not my mentor, we are equals. However, when you were down and unable to fight back, Catalysm decided to bully the easy target. And if there's one thing I cannot stand, it's a bully. Now, I intend to go after Catalysm again. I intend to go after him again because someone here needs to humble that mask overrated meathead. If you are out here to thank me, then you're welcome. Otherwise, Chosen, I'm gonna only say this once. Stay out of my way. And Benjamin Bourne making his stance very clear. He intends to go after Catalysm again. He once again making it clear to Chosen that he sees an equal, not as a mentor, and has made it crystal clear that he better stay out of his way. I don't know if Benjamin Bourne has a death wish or not, but going after Catalysm again? Bad Boy Bourne, I wish you all the luck. Still to come, we got the triple threat match between Berry Jenkins, Hook, and Kyle Fletcher. But first, another quick break. Victoria Wong here, outside the Boston City Hospital with World Heavyweight Champion Dio Sebastian. Dio, can you give us an update on the witch's recovery? You will be happy to know she is making a fast recovery. Tomorrow, she is going to be released from the hospital. She needs some rest, but will soon be in-ring active. With that said, I will be showing up this Wednesday on Brawl Live. And this is a message going out to the old gods. Especially you, Hercules. I am coming for you. We're back, and we have a triple threat match underway between Kyle Fletcher, Hook, and Berry Jenkins. The winner will be going on next week to face the whole damn show, Rob Van Dam, for the United States Championship. This triple threat #1 contender match is happening right here, right now, on Grand Tour Wrestling Dystopia.
The following contest is a triple threat match. Making his way to the ring from Manhattan, New York, weighing in at 203 pounds, Hook.
Here comes Hook, former AEW wrestler, coming from the mean streets of New York, growing up on Long Island, making his way to the ring in this triple threat match. This is to determine the #1 contender for the United States Champion. Whoever wins tonight will be taking on Rob Van Dam next week for the United States Championship. And we got a lot of amazing competitors here tonight. Hook, known for his boxing style, a huge striker, but will his aggressiveness be enough to get to his two opponents here tonight?
And his opponents, first from Sydney, Australia, weighing in at 205 pounds, Kyle Fletcher.
Kyle Fletcher, another wrestler originating from All Elite Wrestling, coming into a GTW ring. Him facing Hook in the squared circle tonight is almost something of a family reunion. These two have a long, outstanding rivalry in other promotions, and with Berry Jenkins as the third wheel, these two are looking to settle the differences in this #1 contender match. However, everything I just said might actually be the last thing on Kyle Fletcher's mind. I'm sure the only thing he's thinking about, knowing him, is the United States Gold and facing Rob Van Dam next week. Kyle Fletcher looking as ready as ever. He can nearly taste the U.S. Gold. All he has to do is win tonight to get his title matchup.
And from Chicago, Illinois, weighing in at 212 pounds, Berry Jenkins!
There goes Sugar and Spice himself, Berry Jenkins, making his way to the ring, the final man in this triple threat match here tonight. As usual, dancing and prancing his way down the ramp, completely confident. It's almost as if he's going into this knowing he's going to win that #1 contendership. Recently, Berry Jenkins had closed up a rivalry between Nathaniel Gray. Although coming up short between these two, losing the tiebreaker. He's looking very much like a winner here tonight. Here goes the bell. Hook starting things off with Kyle Fletcher. But here comes Berry Jenkins taking advantage of these two. Kyle Fletcher now with a European uppercut on Berry Jenkins, followed by a DDT. And then a spinning tackle on the Hook. Berry Jenkins behind Kyle Fletcher, raking the back. And now Hook throwing into the corner. However, intercepted by Berry Jenkins with a clothesline. Berry Jenkins now slamming Hook into the ring, only to fall prey, but no, he counters Kyle Fletcher there with an elbow. Kyle Fletcher now going for a German suplex on Berry Jenkins. And here comes Hook, sweeping Kyle Fletcher back, laying in those punches as Berry Jenkins watches it happen. And now here's Jenkins with a few punching combos of his own onto Hook, fighting him at his own game. Now Berry Jenkins turning his attention to Kyle Fletcher as he rakes the back there. He grapples up, kick to the stomach, and a DDT by Berry Jenkins as he goes for the cover. One, but no. Hook manages to break up the count. Berry Jenkins now outside the ring as Hook works on Kyle Fletcher. Berry Jenkins going under the ring. Remember, this is a triple threat match. Triple threat also means no disqualification. All foreign objects legal as Berry Jenkins attacks Hook from behind with that sledgehammer. And there's Berry Jenkins now attacking both of them with that sledgehammer. Hook completely incapacitated out of the ring. Berry Jenkins taking advantage as he pins Kyle Fletcher, who kicks out on one. Amazing resilience considering he just got beaten with a sledgehammer. Berry Jenkins down that top rope as he goes for a double axe handle outside the ring onto Kyle Fletcher. But Hook out of nowhere giving Berry Jenkins a clothesline. Hook now attempting to throw Berry Jenkins. He reverses so and gets a suplex onto Hook. Kyle Fletcher going for that Irish whip. Berry Jenkins counters. And no, Kyle Fletcher finishes what he starts and throws Berry Jenkins into the steel stairs full force. Remember, triple threat means no disqualification. Neither man can be disqualified in this match. Anything goes in this matchup. Kyle Fletcher going for the top rope. Jenkins moving out of the way though. Kyle Fletcher landing on nothing but canvas there. As Berry Jenkins goes for those punch combos outside the ring. Hook bringing in a steel chair. Kyle Fletcher attempting to bring Berry Jenkins to the corner. However, gets a chair thrown right in his face. Hook now taking advantage. Tackling Berry Jenkins, followed by a belly-to-belly suplex onto the sledgehammer and steel chair. Nearly shattering the back of his opponent. But now, Kyle Fletcher taking advantage of the chaos as he goes to pin Hook. Hook kicking out. Kyle Fletcher trying to put his focus on Berry Jenkins. Berry Jenkins, though, manages to counter into a pile driver, only to be intercepted by Hook, and now going for the pin on Kyle Fletcher. 1, 2, 3, and Hook wins the triple threat.
Here is your winner.
Next week, it's going to be Hook versus Rob Van Dam for the United States Championship. That's me next week on Dystopia. An amazing victory in this triple threat by Hook. Congratulations. We look forward to seeing your U.S. title match against the whole damn show, the old ECW legend, Rob Van Dam. Coming up, folks, we got our main event for tonight. A mixed gender tag team match between Brenda Bison and Steven Dynamite versus Hercules and Amber Charlotte of the Old Gods. But before we get into our main event, we're going to have a quick 2-minute break. Hey, you and your outlaw pals have been causing us a lot of trouble. Now, I do not understand what kind of interest Hercules has in you, but you better stay out of our way. First off, they are not my pals. They are hired bodyguards, and I never asked for them. Now, nor do I want them. Second of all, Mickie James is the only one out of the group that is even worth a damn. And as far as Hercules is concerned, you should be less worried about our conversations and more worried about where you stand with him. What an exchange of words we just had between Damian Elliott and Archangel in the backstage area. Tensions rising, it seems to be, between the Old Gods. Speaking of the Old Gods, after a confrontation between Amber Charlotte and Brenda Bison earlier tonight, a brawl has broke out in the middle of a promo. As a result, Charles Elliott has booked tonight's main event. Brenda Bison will be teaming up with the former Grand Tour champion, the Chosen One, Steven Dynamite, as they take on the current Grand Tour champion, Hercules, and his partner tonight, his right hand, Amber Charlotte. Together they form the Old Gods. That's going to be right here on tonight's main event for GTW Dystopia.
The following is a tag team match set for one fall. Introducing first, from Long Island, New York, weighing in at 214 pounds, the Chosen One, Steven Dynamite!
It was earlier this week on Wednesday Night Brawl where Steven Dynamite had been confronted by the Grand Tour champion Hercules. Losing a Hell in a Cell match, Steven Dynamite lost his last opportunity to win back the Grand Tour title from the mighty Hercules himself. The condition was to be a Hell in a Cell match to make sure there was no outside interference so Hercules can prove that he can win undisputably against the Chosen One. On Brawl, Hercules demanded that Stephen Dynamite acknowledges him as his god after winning a one-on-one battle and successfully defending the Grand Tour title. Stephen Dynamite, of course, being the man he is, gave Hercules his flowers, but still refused to acknowledge him as a god and said, I quote, "I acknowledge you as a very strong man with a god complex." Stephen Dynamite ended up paying dearly as he was thrown off the stage at the entranceway on Brawl.
And his partner, representing the Red Faction from St. Petersburg, Russia, the Women's Champion and one half of the Mixed Tag Team Champions, the Assassin, Brenda Bison.
Brenda Bison being accompanied to the ring by her partner, Andre Armstrong. Together, they are the Intergender Tag Team Champions. However, separately, Andre Armstrong is the Grand Tour Wrestling European Champion, and Brenda Bison is the GTW Women's Champion. Brenda Bison, who retained her title at Fright Night after Amanda Price hit her head, confusing the outside ring for the inside ring because of a minor concussion, and end up losing by a draw by countout. Brenda Bison, not being satisfied with that victory, has decided they give Amanda Price one more chance at the Women's Championship, wanting to win undisputably. Her pride as a champion shining. However, tonight she has a bigger problem, as the old gods have now painted a target on Brenda Bison's back. Tonight she'll be teaming up with former Grand Tour champion Stephen Dynamite to take on this new threat.
Accompanied by the Olympian Rebecca Troy, the Grand Prix champions, the mighty, unbreakable, indestructible Hercules, and the warrior princess, Amber Charlotte, the old gods.
And here he is, 345 pounds of pure muscle, with his right hand, Amber Charlotte, his consultant, Rebecca Troy, making his way to the ring. I'm sorry, it is Rebecca Troy is the right hand, but Amber Charlotte, who is the enforcer for the old gods here. These two completely and utterly 100% muscle-bound warriors ready for war here tonight. Hercules showing his strength at Fright Night as he's defeated Stephen Dynamite, and once again showing his strength when Stephen Dynamite showing his heresy, refusing to acknowledge him as a god. You see Amber Charlotte outside the ring praying to Hercules for tonight's victory. I also like to give a shout out to KCO, who has just given me my 21st follow. I'd like to thank you. I am 4 followers away from reaching associates on Twitch. So if you're watching this and you haven't followed, I just want to say all support is 100% appreciated. The crowd here in South Carolina not feeling the vibe of this god. You're hearing mutters within the arena chanting false god. The naysayers looking down on the Grand Tour champion. And tonight, he will once again get into the ring to prove them all wrong. The boos echoing all over the arena. Here at the North Charleston Coliseum. You can see the look on Stephen Dynamite's face outside the ring. He wants nothing more but to get into that squared circle with the Grand Tour champion right now. You can see it in his eyes. He is locked in. He wants a fight with this 345-pound monster. And we're off. Here's the bell. We're starting off with Stephen Dynamite and Hercules in the ring. Stephen Dynamite giving Hercules everything he has. He has a lot of receipts for this Grand Tour champion here as he comes in hot with a moonsault. You can see a lot of aggression coming from the Chosen One right now. It's one thing to lose a match. It's another to be assaulted in a non-sanctioned fight, being thrown off of a 15-foot stage at the entranceway. And Stephen Dynamite has every chance to make a pay, and there's Amber Charlotte attacking Dynamite from behind. However, Stephen Dynamite completely focused in, zeroed in on Hercules right now, completely ignoring Amber Charlotte, attacking Hercules with everything he's got right now. I don't know about you, but just looking at Dynamite right now, he looks completely fired up. Laying in those right punches right in the face of Hercules. This 213-pound man completely giving it to this 345 muscle-bound heavyweight. And there's Hercules knocking him back with one hit and knocks him down with a clothesline. Hercules with a huge headbutt takes down Stephen Dynamite and now is leaving him to the vultures. Here comes Amber Charlotte in the ring. She now grapples up with the Chosen One. Stephen Dynamite comes to the ropes, and there's Amber Charlotte bringing him down to the ground with those massive hits. You see Brenda Bison getting a tag in. Now we have the two women in the ring. The women's champion, Brenda Bison, going toe-to-toe with the Warrior Princess, Amber Charlotte, as she goes for the cover. One. But no, Amber Charlotte kicks out too soon in this tag team match. And there's Amber Charlotte with a clothesline on Brenda Bison. She grapples up. Comes off the ropes and a drop kick right to the face of the women's champion. Brenda Bison catches. The crowd starting to gain momentum, cheering Brenda Bison on. Slowly but surely, the women's champion winning the love of the crowd right here at South Carolina. Brenda Bison now tagging in Steven Dynamite. The fan favorite here in GTW with a wheelbarrow, putting her into a crossface. However, Amber Charlotte immediately grabbing for a rope break. Steven Dynamite on the top rope. Amber Charlotte, though, playing it smart, tagging in her partner Hercules. And once again, we have the Grand Tour champion in the ring with the former Grand Tour champion. Steven Dynamite, once again, putting out all the stops, using his acrobatic abilities to trump the raw power of this heavyweight monster. And there's Steven Dynamite with a moonsault, but nobody home. Hercules rolling out of the way as he follows with an Irish whip and a tilt-a-whirl slam onto Steven Dynamite. Dynamite getting back in the ring, not looking to shy away from this fight. You can see how personal it is in the eyes of Steven Dynamite right now. Dynamite getting momentarily distracted by Rebecca Troy. Ends up paying for it as Hercules grabs from behind, but no, Steven Dynamite not having it, fighting back, tagging Brenda Bison, and there's Brenda Bison with a shot to the ribs while being held by Dynamite. And it's Bison going for the pin. This will be an amazing upset for the women's champion to be able to pin this 345-pound monster. This is a historic moment. We got champion versus champion in the ring right now. The women's champion versus the Grand Tour champion. In the middle of the squared circle, and Brenda Bison holding her own against this self-proclaimed god. And a neckbreaker by the Russian assassin. Hercules jumping across the ring, gaining a tag onto Amber Charlotte. Amber Charlotte coming in hot with a Hurricanrana. You can see Andre Armstrong outside the ring coaching his partner. And there's an elbow by Amber Charlotte taking down Brenda Bison. An amazing athletic display by the Warrior Princess. Here comes the cover, but Steven Dynamite breaks up the count. And here comes Amber Charlotte with a DDT onto Brenda Bison. Will this be it? 1, 2, but Brenda Bison kicks out. An amazing endurance by the women's champion. Have Amber Charlotte now working on the leg of Brenda Bison. You see Brenda Bison withering in pain as Amber Charlotte lays on that pressure. Here comes an Irish whip to the corner. Brenda Bison reverses the Irish whip. And a huge chop to the chest as she has Amber Charlotte trapped into the corner. Amber Charlotte gets a receipt, running elbow into the women's champion. Brenda Bison now in the corner as Amber Charlotte tags in Hercules. Hercules to the top rope. And Amber Charlotte launching that 345-pound cannonball at the women's champion Brenda Bison. Here comes Hercules coming off the ropes. Neckbreaker. Remember, this man is pure raw muscle. This is the equivalent of anyone fighting the Incredible Hulk right now. Hercules considered one of the strongest men on the planet. Every slam, every hit he does to that fragile body is like shattering glass. Here comes Hercules on the top rope, just eyeing her, stalking his prey. And a devastating double axe handle by the Grand Tour champion. The Irish whips Brenda Bison into the corner. Hercules now making the tag to Amber Charlotte. And there's Amber Charlotte with a huge right hook to the ribs of Brenda Bison as Hercules holds her still. Two women now squaring off. Amber Charlotte dragging Brenda Bison into the corner, slamming her to the turnbuckle. And a huge elbow right into the jaw of Bison. Amber Charlotte running across the ring, throwing a knee right into what already is a damaged jaw. Possibly fractured. Steven Dynamite looking for that tag, and Brenda Bison tags Dynamite just in time to avoid that high-risk maneuver from Amber Charlotte. And there's Hercules from the ring apron, taking out Steven Dynamite from behind. Brenda Bison, though, throwing Amber Charlotte out of the ring. And it seems all four competitors are now fighting in this matchup. Brenda Bison fighting. Amber Charlotte outside. Steven Dynamite taking on Hercules outside, knocking down Rebecca Troy in the crossfire. And here comes Steven Dynamite coming to Brenda Bison's aid as they double team. Amber Charlotte outside the ring now. And Steven Dynamite with a shooting star press. And here comes Hercules coming to Amber Charlotte's aid. Throwing those knees into the ribs of Steven Dynamite in the outside ring area. And Dynamite out of nowhere with a wheelbarrow onto Amber Charlotte. He's sizing her up. And a super kick. Amber Charlotte sidesteps, avoiding the super kick from Steven Dynamite. And there's a swift kick into the temple of the former Grand Tour champion. The chosen one, Steven Dynamite, now suffering in the hands of Amber Charlotte, who now makes her way back into the ring. Here she is, just taunting her opponent as Steven Dynamite makes his way back inside. The two now squaring off the middle of the squared circle. Dynamite going for those devastating kicks onto his opponent. He goes for the cover. One, but Amber Charlotte kicks out before even a 2 count. This main event, still a long ways from being done. Here comes Steven Dynamite now making a tag. The Brenda Bison, the two women now back in the ring. Women's champion versus Warrior Princess. Brenda Bison going for the cover. And there's Brenda Bison. Still not above using those dirty tactics as she attempts to use the ropes as leverage. And she goes for a second cover. One, but Hercules breaks up the count. That massive strength going right into Brenda Bison. And you see Rebecca Troy outside the ring, distracting Brenda Bison, giving Amber Charlotte ample time to recuperate. She attempts to attack Brenda Bison from behind, but Brenda Bison sees it coming. She throws an elbow. Amber Charlotte manages to counter the wheelbarrow, though, and tags in the mighty Hercules, the Grand Tour champion, now in the ring with the women's champion, Brenda Bison. Here's Hercules slaying down those heavy punches on Brenda Bison. Oh no, Hercules, what are you thinking? Don't you do it, Hercules! Oh my God! Oh my God! Here comes the cover. Dynamite breaking the count immediately after that devastating maneuver by Hercules. Hercules lining her up. Here comes the God Spear by the mighty Hercules. He just completely broke her in half. 1, 2, 3, and Hercules gets the win on the women's champion.
Here are your winners, the mighty, unbreakable, indestructible Hercules, and the warrior princess, Amber Charlotte.
A devastating victory by the Old Gods, as Brenda Bison broken in two by the Grand Tour champion Hercules, all 345 pounds, thrusting into the midsection of the women's champion like a missile. I can see Brenda Bison withering in pain as both Andre Armstrong and Steven Dynamite go to tend to her. An incredible but devastating victory by the Old Gods here tonight on Dystopia. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Those of you watching on YouTube, don't forget to like comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to get those notifications. This is Infinite Fantasy signing out. I'll see you Wednesday night for a brawl. May your fantasies be infinite.